What if the Phantom Thieves weren't nearly as powerful as the game makes them out to be? What if they were just normal people who react the way any person would when slashed by a weapon, set ablaze, or electrocuted? Today we're going to find out, as the entire party is capped at 1 HP throughout the entire game. And the first major restriction of this run already reveals itself during the intro sequence. Physical skills are off the table entirely. Physical skills scale off the user's HP, taking a set percentage of HP as their cost. At 1 HP, that percentage always resolves to a fraction below 1, which the game then rounds up to 1, meaning that every physical skill costs 1 HP, and since you can't KO yourself while attacking, physical skills become unusable. This means that magic is going to be our only option when it comes to attacking skills. For the intro, this doesn't matter yet as Joker is invincible here, so we can just spam Eygon on our way to victory. In lots of Persona 5 Royal Challenge runs, we usually exempt the intro sequence entirely and only begin counting the challenge from the first free day, but I wanted to confirm whether the intro was viable with those limitations as well. The fight alongside Kazumi is scripted. Enemies will always target her and miss, making it a formality. Once the battle concludes, Joker gets captured. We select the hard difficulty because everything else wouldn't be enough torture, and then get to name our protagonist. And given that Joker will get KO'd by any single hit regardless of source, we just name Joker Yamcha because, well, the name checks out. We go through the opening cutscenes, meet Ryuji, and end up in Kamoshida's palace where Joker awakens his persona. As with the intro sequence, Joker is seemingly invincible during the Awakening battle, so we have no issues taking the enemies out. At this point though, I got a little worried whether modifying the game's files to cap every party member at 1 HP had accidentally left Joker in a permanently invincible state. That concern was short-lived though, because once Morgana joins and the first 2-member fight begins, both characters take damage normally, which means that the restriction is functioning as intended. The tutorial battle introduces the one more mechanic. Landing a hit on an enemy's elemental weakness knocks them down and grants the attacker an additional action. We target Incubus first with Joker to weaken it, and with Morgana scripted to target the Jack-o'-lantern on the first turn, knockdown is guaranteed. The one more that follows will finish whichever enemy Morgana targets, since both are already weakened. The problem is the enemy that remains standing. If it targets Joker, we game over. If Morgana gets targeted, we win, so the odds are pretty much 50-50. And of course we lose that coin toss 2 more times. When the challenge finally progresses, it is not because the enemy targets Morgana, it is because Joker dodges the attack entirely, so we can close out the battle on the next turn. One detail worth addressing while we're at it. Max HP values in Persona 5 Royal are stored dynamically in the game's code, meaning they can't simply be set to a fixed value through a memory edit. Instead, every time a party member levels up, we have to manually adjust their HP bonus to a negative value to offset the gain and return them back to 1. With the technicalities out of the way, the final encounter of the segment is against the Double Pixies. Both are weak to Curse, and after they miss Morgana, we can easily take them down. On the following day, we return to Kamoshida's palace, get a few more tutorial battles that we can beat without further issues, and then have Ryuji awaken to his persona. What follows is the battle against Eligor and 2 Bicorn, and this is where the challenge encounters its first real problem. With Sion Ryuji, we can hit the Bicorn's weakness, wipe the first one with the one more, and the second one with Morgana's next turn, which only leaves Eligor alive. The problem is that Eligor will now attack randomly, and any hit on Joker ends the attempt. But that is not the only complication. Depending on the damage range from Ryuji's and Morgana's attacks, there is a chance that the second Bicorn will barely survive, and with 2 enemies still standing when Eligor gets to act, the odds of Joker being targeted effectively make progression in this battle impossible. Joker needs to attack Eligor with physical attack as it resists curse spells, and then hope for some targeting luck on the enemy's end. But even if everything goes according to plan and Barif attacks the other 2 party members before Joker, the battle isn't won yet because Joker can miss the attack, and even if he doesn't, it looks like we are missing quite a bit of damage to actually make it. The good news is that if Choka can miss, the enemy can miss as well, so we just need to grind this battle over and over again until we get a lucky attempt where Eligor misses its target on the first turn and we get 2 full turns of damage on the enemy. We still need the enemy to target another party member but Choka on the follow-up turn, and while it took a couple more attempts, we eventually got the luck that we needed, and after grinding on this battle for roughly 30 minutes, we're able to take Eligor down. It is honestly pretty refreshing that we have a challenge that we can do during the tutorial section already, considering most challenges don't officially start until we get to spend our time freely, but spending 30 minutes in the first tutorial battles already raises the question whether this challenge was a good idea or not. Either way, we return to the palace after the Shio incident, work through the persona negotiation tutorial, recruit the first couple of personas, grab a new weapon for Choka, and watch Best Girl Ann awaken her persona. Next up is Belphegor. The enemy is weak to fire attacks, so we open with a double Agi by Ann, and then empty all guns except Ryuji, who will defend. Belphegor cannot be finished in a single turn, and its first action is always Magaru, an AoE wind attack, so we once again have to hope for a lucky dodge. This is also why Ryuji guards instead of attacking to prevent the enemy from getting a 1 more, and therefore another chance to KO Choka. Unfortunately, Belphegor's hit rate seems to be much higher compared to Eligor earlier. Ryuji will always get hit since guarding eliminates the chance to dodge entirely. Ann and Morgana occasionally evade Magaru, but Choka took the hit every single time, and with the protagonist KO'd, it's an automatic game over. After roughly 10 unsuccessful attempts, it was clear that we need another strategy here. Arsene learns Secunda on level 4, which reduces the target's hit rate and evasion, so precisely what we need. Since the next level up is not too far off, we reload the save from before entering Belphegor's room and start grinding. We clear all the enemy formations, return to the save room, save and reload to respawn them until Arsene hits level 4 and we get access to Secunda. With the new skill available, we head back to Belphegor. The opening turn is now slightly adjusted. Hitting Belphegor's fire weakness still remains the priority, but now we follow up with an all-out attack rather than a second Agi, since the overall damage is slightly higher that way. Choka then casts Secunda on Belphegor to reduce its hit rate, which should improve the odds of surviving Magaru without relying purely on Choka's base evasion. Choka occasionally dodges Magaru with the help of Secunda, but surviving the first turn only shows the next problem. With Ann and Morgana going down after Magaru, Choka is the only remaining attacker and does nowhere near enough damage needed to finish the fight. This means that we need one of 2 things to happen to beat Belphegor. Either Choka dodges Magaru for 2 or even 3 consecutive turns while dealing enough damage to close out the fight, or both Choka and Ann evade on the first turn, so we can go for a second all-out attack before Belphegor acts again. I also tried to one-turn the enemy by going for Agi and a follow-up all-out attack on both Ann and Choka, with Morgana and Ryuji assisting with their guns, but this is not doing enough damage either. Since we're not that far off from beating Belphegor though, I figured that this might be the better strategy going forward, since it's less reliant on dodging attacks. Because of this, I decided that grinding a little more probably won't hurt. If we can deal a little more damage with our all-out attack, as well as with Jack-o'-lantern's Agi, we might deal enough damage to get Belphegor down before its first turn, so we grind until we hit level 6 on the party, as well as level 3 on Jack-o'-lantern. We also make sure that Jack-o'-lantern gets some magic during its level ups, and then return to Belphegor for what is hopefully the final time. Unfortunately, we're still not doing enough damage for a one-turn setup, but with the increased damage on Choka, the Secunda strategy might become viable again. And this is what brought us the victory in the end, but not because we were dealing so much more damage, but rather because Choka managed to dodge twice in a row, which gave us enough leeway to deal enough damage with our remaining SP and the gun on the one more. This completes the tutorial section, and judging by how much we struggled to get here, this is going to be a very interesting challenge. Before we head back into Kamoshida's castle though, there are a couple of things we want to do. We kick off the confidant with Best Girl Takemi. She's one of the confidants that we prioritize, as her rank 10 ability lets us buy physical and magical ointments, which reflect either physical or magical damage, and considering that we're stuck at 1 HP throughout the entire game, we will probably have to heavily abuse reflecting damage. We also hang out with Ryuji to advance his confident as well. Party members will be prioritized considering that the confident perks will directly aid us in combat. Endure, Protect, and the Evade passives will come in very useful as we progress through the challenge. At the clinic, we buy several Reviver Drinks as there is no need for healing items with a 1 HP party, and once we are set up, we return to the palace for our first official infiltration. The early parts of the palace are still simple. We have a decent variety of elemental coverage and are therefore able to eliminate the majority of enemies before they get to act. If possible, we mostly use our guns to get the enemies down in order to conserve SP. While we have the regular amount of SP available, SP management early in the game is still important since we want to get the palace done within a single day to maximize our free time, so we want to save SP for the upcoming mini-boss fights. Speaking of mini-bosses, we head towards the first one as we battle Archangel. We already know from previous challenges that Archangel will always target the other party members first before focusing on Joker, so this fight is already significantly more manageable than Belphegor. And while the mini-boss managed to KO all other party members, we can take it down before it heads for Joker and continue through the palace. Up next, we have to get through the 2 Eligor encounters. Eligor is weak to electricity, so after hitting its weakness, we go for an all-out attack to maximize our damage output. Considering they're also susceptible to status elements, we make sure to put them to sleep before their attack to reduce the chance of getting attacked ourselves. Unfortunately, the turn order worked against us here and Eligor managed to take down Morgana, but since its HP are pretty low at this point, we can take it out shortly afterwards. The second Eligor battle follows the same pattern, though unfortunately Joker got targeted and KO'd this time, so after reloading, we can easily take it down on the second turn without Eligor getting another chance to act. The last bigger battle of the palace is against the Woolseed Gatekeeper as we battle Cold Temperature Minimara. The enemy is resistant to all elements, but we can still inflict sleep on it to prevent some of the incoming attacks. If we manage to knock it down with a technical hit, we can follow up with a big all-out attack. While the mini-boss manages to wipe Ryuji, the technical all-out combination proves good enough and we're able to take it down before it has a chance to focus on the other party members. The Crystal of Lust that we get as a reward is only partially useful, as the healing effect is irrelevant at 1 HP, and the Tarokaja on it only gets added once we bring it to Chosen Mementos later, so as of now, it's basically useless, but I'm a completionist so we still get it regardless. With that, we are done with the palace, but before tackling the first big boss of the game, we still have to grind. And that grind is going to take a while. Kamoshida, with the exception of his special attacks, exclusively attacks with physical hits, and considering that he gets to act twice each turn, there is no way Joker can tank his attacks for a longer period of time at 1 HP. So what is the logical solution to that? Simple, just null the attacks. We can do that by fusing a Shikiuchi, which is level 18, so we're going to continue grinding in the palace until we get there. The most efficient method is by battling the Savage Shadow of the palace in Barif, which gives 60 experience per encounter. Barif presents some difficulties though. While it is weak to ice, we need to make sure to keep it asleep as often as possible. The enemy can still get a shot in occasionally since we have enough revival items with us, so we can easily get everybody back up again. By the way, shoutouts to revival beats for following the same logic as physical skills, because if they wouldn't, they'd literally revive with 0 HP since they revive a party member with half HP and would therefore be useless, but that's luckily not an issue that we have to deal with. We return to the Velvet Room occasionally to upgrade our personas, though this is mostly to have a decent base for future fusions, as the one we're looking for is still quite a bit off. I'm not going to talk you through the entire grind, so we will skip forward to the point where Joker gets to level 18, and we can now head to the Velvet Room to fuse ourselves a Shikiuchi. As mentioned earlier, Shikiuchi nulls all physical attacks, and additionally also nulls both Bless and Curse attacks, which probably makes it the strongest non-DLC persona at this stage by far. Speaking of which, I don't think I have mentioned this one specifically yet, but all DLCs are banned since the majority of them are way too overpowered and would make things a lot easier. We leave the palace once preparations are complete and send the calling card on the following day before returning to the palace as we battle the first major boss fight of the challenge in Shadow Kamoshida. Kamoshida will exclusively attack with physical attacks, which makes Choka immune to his regular attacks as long as we have Shikiyuchi equipped. The boss will KO all other party members, but that is not going to be an issue as Choka is still protected against everything. We want to have our party members back once we get the trophy down to eliminate Shiho, but for the earlier phases they don't really affect Choka's survivability. As soon as the trophy is down, we revive all fallen party members and then hope for some good dodging luck. Golden Spike is an AoE almighty attack which bypasses all elemental affinities, so there is no way to block it with anything other than hoping for a dodge. And of course this didn't happen, so we game over in our first attempt after Golden Spike. After failing to dodge the attack 2 more times, I wanted to make some adjustments to the strategy. When the trophy is only a single hit away from destruction, we cast Sukunda to lower the enemy's accuracy and then destroy the trophy and revive the party. While this didn't work on the first attempt, it increases our chances to the point where it's only a matter of time until we dodge the attack, and conveniently it happened on the very next attempt where both Choka and Morgana managed to evade and survive. We are not through the worst yet, as Kamoshida will now summon Shio and go for a kill shot of love, another AoE almighty attack if Shio is up by the end of the turn, so we need to eliminate her quickly. Choka will revive An, who will then revive Ryuji. Ryuji will attack Shio since she's weak to literally every elemental affinity, and then baton pass to Choka for an increased mob seal that deals big damage. The combination of this and a follow-up attack by Morgana is barely enough to take her out before Kamoshida acts, and we transition into the last phase where we can send a party member for the crown. I highly doubt we will deal enough damage to actually take it, but even if we don't, it doesn't matter as the battle is won by this point, considering that Kamoshida will only use Golden Knife now, which Choka annuls thanks to Shikiyuchi. And because Kamoshida is nice enough to attack Choka on several consecutive turns, we're able to deal enough damage, and with Morgana snatching the crown, the battle is going to be over faster than I initially expected. With the now increased damage, it's only a couple more attacks until Kamoshida is down, and we completed the first palace with everybody only having 1 HP. With Kamoshida down, we have our first downtime portion of the challenge. We continue hanging out with our confidence, start the confident with Soichiro, and start working on our social stats. This time around, we want to try and get everything up as several stat thresholds are required early in the game. We want kindness at rank 2 to initiate An's confident, rank 4 charm to reach Takemi's maximum rank later, and we want to get guts to rank 3 early to initiate best girl Kawakabi's confident, as well as knowledge at rank 3 for Akechi. We also get Soichiro to rank 2 to brew coffee at LeBlanc, seeing as SP recovery options are still rather limited at this stage. Advancing Ryuji's confident is important as we want to get him to rank 7 early to learn the insta-kill ability. Ryuji is not going to be part of our final party lineup due to his poor magic stat, but we need him at least at rank 7, so prioritizing it early avoids time pressure later on. His rank 4 unlocks access to the gym, but considering that going there increases Choka's max HP, this is a big no-no. Several in-game days later, Kamoshida confesses his crimes, and the party goes out to celebrate. As party name, I decided to go with Glass Cannons, seeing as this is a rather appropriate name for a challenge like this. After getting kindness to rank 2, we can now continue An's confident, and shortly afterwards get our introduction to Mementos where we face Oberia. As with the Eligor battles in Kamoshida's palace, we try to put the enemy to sleep to avoid getting hit. This works pretty well, and it's only a few attacks until the enemy is already down again. Other than that, there is not that much to worry about, so we leave Mementos and continue spending our free time. We start off the confident with Yoshida, get the first 2 ranks of Maruki's confident, and shortly afterwards meet Yusuke, so after button mashing Morgana, we get the first rank of the Twin Wardens and then dive into Madarame's palace. Random encounters for the most part can still be taken on in a single turn, so there is no need to worry about those. We grab the treasure demon on the way, and that is basically all there is to part 1 of the palace. Once we reach the barrier, we leave, get on to donate her old clothes to Yusuke, and then return to battle Nue with only Choka and Ryuji. With Shikiuchi nulling both physical and curse damage, Choka is invincible in this battle, so we can conveniently work on the enemy with Agi until it's down. An and Yusuke join them in the palace, Yusuke awakens his persona, and we have to battle Ippodatara and a couple of Kappa Tengus. We knock the first one down with Yusuke's Bufo, then baton pass to Joker, and take all the ads out with a single Makua. Ippodatara again only uses physical attacks, so with Shikiuchi we don't have to worry about anything in this battle. This is also a good time to talk about Yusuke's passive trait Scoundrel Eyes. While Yusuke is not known for being a strong magic user, he will still replace Ryuji in our starting lineup thanks to his passive trait, which gives the party a 20% evasion against all physical attacks. This is going to go up to 40% and even 60% with further awakenings later, but even the 20% can be a huge help in keeping the party alive longer. Once Ippodatara is down, we make a quick detour to advance Maruki to rank 3 for flow, and Ryuji to rank 7 for insta-kill, and then return to the palace. Like just mentioned, we will replace Ryuji with Yusuke in our starting lineup. Both of them are physical focused and not really ideal for this kind of challenge setup, but Yusuke's passive trait is a huge help, so he will probably make the main team even over characters whose stats and skills would fit better in this setting. We head into the first mini-boss battle against Kurama Tengu, who is accompanied by 2 Kappa Tengus. We knock the ads down with Makua, then shock the mini-boss with our stun gun, and 2 all-out attacks later, we're done again. After the battle, we also get our first blank skill card of the game, something that is probably going to come in very handy throughout the challenge, as we can teach every persona the skill on it as long as we have the card, no matter whether they can inherit the skill type or not. During random encounters, we start holding up Jack Frost's and Nue's as we're looking for specific items during negotiation. Jack Frost can give Hidat no Fudos as a rare drop, which acts like the Masaku Kasha spell and increases the entire party's evasion and hit rate for 3 turns. The even more important one might be Nue, as we can get magical ointments as a rare drop. Considering it's going to be a while until we can max out Takemi's Confidant, this is our only way to somewhat consistently get magic reflecting items until then. We can already null physical attacks thanks to Shikiuchi, and in combination with magic ointments, we can make Joker invincible against anything that is not almighty. We continue on in the museum as we head into the second mini-boss-like battle against 3 Makami. We bring back Ryuji for this battle since he can hit the enemy's weakness with Seo, and the follow-up all-out attack is already enough to quickly end the battle. The only thing left to do is go up against the Willseed Gatekeeper or Habaki, which is one of the trickiest battles up until now. At first I figured that burning the enemy is the easiest way to get the victory, though Habaki quickly disposed of half the party with Flash Bomb. Even though we got everybody back up again, a single mob Seo is enough to take out the entire party, so in order to avoid this we want to incapacitate it somehow. The easiest way to do so is by trying to freeze the enemy before its next turn comes up, and then hit technical damage and weakness hits to follow them up with all-out attacks. This works well, and thanks to several party members being able to hit the enemy's weakness, we can take the mini-boss down before it has a proper chance to get an attack in. The crystal from the museum negates all weaknesses of the party member wearing it, so while it may not come in useful immediately, it is definitely something to keep in mind for future battles. We unlock the electric chair feature in the Velvet Room on the way out, and while we're technically done with the palace, we stay in here for a little longer to grind some more items, specifically the Hidat no Fudos and the magic ointments we just talked about before. Jack Frost can also drop revival beads, which is not what we prioritize, but they still serve a very good use as we're going to have to revive party members regularly. We don't need that many magic ointments, so once we got about 5 of them, we head back to the Velvet Room to fuse a new Shikiuchi by using the treasure demon we got earlier. We want to carry over the passive trait Mighty Gaze to deal 20% more damage with AoE attacks, as Makua can hit 3 different parts of Madarama's painting with bless spells, while making sure to null all physical incoming damage at the same time. We also itemize a treasure demon to get a region accessory. The +3 strength on it doesn't really do much, but it also comes with Attack Master, which gives the party member wearing it an attack buff for the first 3 turns of the battle. We only have one Black Rock to use currently, but with the combination of Mighty Gaze and Makua, Choka should have enough firepower to deal good damage to the portrait parts. I vaguely remembered that you can buy one Black Rock every month at the street vendor in Shibuya, but looking it up online, it seems like this is only a thing in vanilla P5 and not Royal, so unfortunately the one that we just used is going to stay the only one for now. We sent the calling card on the following day, craft some spotlights in the evening, and then head back into the palace for the boss fight against Madarame. In phase 1, we have to battle the portrait parts, which is exactly why we prepared so much earlier. We have 4 different targets, 3 of which can attack the party with all kinds of attacks, so we need to make sure to take them out quickly. Makua by Choka hits 3 targets, and with a magic ointment, we can make him pretty much immune to most incoming attacks. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention to the turn order and did not notice that the right eye gets its turn right after Choker. So of course it immediately starts to wipe party members left and right with elemental weakness hits. Needless to say, we didn't get very far here. For attempt number 2, we cast Secunda on the right eye first, hoping that the debuff gives us a decent enough chance to dodge the attack. While this didn't work on the first attempt, Yusuke managed to dodge the attack on the second attempt, which is all we need to properly set up. Morgana will now throw the spotlight we crafted before onto Joker to draw the enemy's attacks towards him, while An sets up the magic ointment. With this, we should now be set up properly, as Joker by default already nulls physical attacks thanks to Shikiyuchi, while the magic ointment, which we renew after every magical attack, makes sure that Joker can take the damage of the eye and the nose. With Makua, we can take down all parts except for the nose, and with that phase 1 is pretty much won already. The nose will occasionally revive one of the other parts, but due to its reduced HP, we can quickly take them out again before they do any damage. Once the last part is down, we transition into phase 2 where Madarame will summon a couple of fakes. We must avoid them getting any turns since they cast various elemental magic which we are not really properly prepared for. Luckily, we already got a good game plan for this as well. Choka will cast Harukash on himself first, while the party members go for a weakness hit, only to pass the baton back to Joker, who will attack all targets with a Makua afterwards. By doing this twice in a turn, we can make sure to wipe all doppelgangers, which leads to Madarame summoning new ones. All we have to do now is rinse and repeat while keeping Joker's attack buff up at all times. With Makua, we can also deal good damage to Madarame himself, so it's only a couple of turns until the boss is down for good, and we are able to complete Palace number 2. This strategy worked out exactly like I pictured it in my head, which honestly surprised me considering there are usually a couple of stepping stones in the way that I did not think of at first. With Madarame down, we have the next downtime period of the game. We continue advancing our confidence, especially Takemi and An, while trying to get our social stats up if neither of them is available. We get Guts to rank 3 right after Operation Maid Watch, so we can also initiate Kawakami's Confident pretty much immediately. During the school trip, we unlock the Confident of Best Girl Kasumi, and once Madarame confesses, we head towards Kichioji. At the second-hand clothes shop, we sell all the studio armor we don't need anymore, and then buy the Daten's belt with the points we have gotten from the sale. This accessory gives the party member wearing it Automazuku, so the entire party will start every battle with an evasion boost, something that is huge when every attack could lead to a game over. We also head into the darts and billiard place for the first time. We will come here frequently in the upcoming weeks to not only get the baton pass of the party up, but also their technical rank. Due to having to juggle almost all social stats, we're only at rank 3 proficiency at the moment, so maxing out our technical rank will still take a while, but we still want to get it somewhat soonish since most of you probably know how broken technical hits can be, especially when comboed with baton passes. We also hang out with the Twin Wardens during evenings if they are available. Their initial skill cards aren't really that useful, but down the line we will get some very strong cards like Enduring Soul, which will make things much more manageable. During the school trip to the TV station, we initiate the confident with Best Girl Pancake-kun, as well as Yusuke, which includes a battle against several slimes that is not too dangerous. Afterwards, we unlock Shinjuku, and since Best Girl Makoto is already on our heels, we head into the third palace a couple of days later. The first two battles against the Onis are easy as they only use physical attacks, so with Shikyuji equipped, we null everything again and have no issue getting past them. Makoto's Awakening battle, on the other hand, is a bit trickier. We start the battle by knocking Suiki down with a nuke attack, and then pass over to Choka to try and shock as many enemies as possible with the Ailment Gun. The Onis are down soon after, but unfortunately we lack enough firepower to get Suiki down before it recovers. To slightly increase our chances at winning the battle, we throw out a Secunda to hopefully dodge the incoming attack, but unfortunately Choka gets hit by Mabufula and goes down. Since the same thing happened on attempt number 2, I made some slight changes to our strategy on attempt 3 and inflicted Suiki with Rage instead of Shock. This will cause it to only attack with physical hits, and we get lucky as its chosen target is Choka, who nulls the attack. We make sure to put ailments on the Onis to prevent them from attacking as well, and with another weakness hit and Baton Pass Makua combination, we take all enemies out before they get their next turn. Back in the real world, we buy SP adhesives from Takimi since we already got her at rank 7, and then return to the palace for investigation number 3. With Makoto now available, we will replace Morgana on our starting lineup since Makoto is the overall stronger option, with her getting access to nuke magic, buffs, as well as healing skills, which we don't need, but might as well mention them. Morgana also has the disadvantage of his confident ranking up automatically as we progress through the game, so there is no way to get access to his later confident perks any earlier compared to all other party members. While Yusuke has much lower magic than either of the two, he will remain in the team simply because of his trait to dodge physical attacks. He is not a strong damage dealer in this challenge setup, but we might give him some more utility by teaching him buffs and debuffs via Chess Club down the line. We get the tutorial for Showtime attacks, and then go up against the first mini-boss, which is a set of Aura Boss. A double Mabufu is enough to take them all out before they even get a chance to act. The solo fights against Fuki and Suiki are not any dangerous either, as we can just stun them and easily take them out after a baton pass and some technical damage. The battle against the Ki trio is a little trickier, but manageable if we pay enough attention to the turn order. We start the battle by stunning both Suiki and Fuki, and then set up a baton pass so that Choka can deal good damage with Masio, and maybe inflict shock on Kinky as well. If the status doesn't hit, we will put it to sleep with Dormina from On to make sure it won't get a chance to attack. We couldn't beat Suiki down before the shock wears off, but luckily it just went for a single target attack on An instead of Mabufula, so after reviving her, we build another small baton pass and are able to take out the last two enemies before any of them gets another turn in. The next mini-boss fight is against Campanda. Like in previous battles, we just shock it with our stun gun and then knock it down with guns while following up with loud attacks before ending the battle in style with a nice little Showtime attack. The final mini-boss in this palace is the Will-Seed Gatekeeper Cerberus. Again we try to shock the enemy, this time to no avail, which leads to several party members going down from a Vera Blast. Luckily we can recover, and with Makoto putting Forget on the enemy, we're safe from incoming skills as well. We just want to make sure to have a status applied before the enemy gets to act, and while this doesn't always work so well, a Showtime attack with a follow-up Mabufu is enough to take the Cerberus down. The Will-Seed accessory in this palace is completely useless, as it only provides a party-wide defense buff, something that has no use at 1 HP, but well, Collector's Curse, what can I say. Before leaving the palace, we unlock the Fusion Alarm, and while the extra stats during Fusion may come in useful, we ban skill mutation as well, as we could easily get access to endgame skills by just grinding accidents long enough, which is not really in the spirit of the challenge. While we are done with the palace now, we will once again stay in for a little longer to grind some levels. An learns Lullaby on level 30, which is an AoE sleep spell and just so happens to be a huge help for phase 2 of the upcoming boss battle. Luckily there is a Take Minakata right next to the save room that we can grind on, seeing as it gives over 700 experience for each kill. But that is not all. We also want a persona that can null both physical and fire attacks, so we can null the majority of Piggytron's attacks. The first persona to do so would be ranked at level 48, but I definitely don't want to farm up all the way to that level since that would probably take 20 hours or even more. Good thing there's a way around this, and it's not even that far off. On level 32, we can fuse a Decarabia which repels fire attacks, and while it is weak to physical attacks, it comes with Tetrakarn from the get-go, so we can easily set that up and repel both physical and fire attacks. The grind takes a while, but considering that Take Minakata gives a good amount of experience, it's not that bad until we reach level 32, and with Decarabia in our stock, we can leave the palace and prepare for the upcoming boss battle. We head to the Darts and Billy's place to get our Baton Pass rank on both Makoto and Yusuke maxed, and then send the calling card before heading back into the palace for big boss fight number 3 against Shadow Kaneshiro. In phase 1 we have to go up against Piggytron, and this is the reason why we want Decarabia. Piggytron will start the battle by first casting Missile Party, which is an AoE fire attack, followed up by Ocular Vulcan, which is a single party member with gun damage. Because of this, we start the battle by casting Tetrakarn on Joker, while attacking with the rest of the party. Thanks to Yusuke having Madarame's Willseed accessory equipped, his fire weakness is neutralized, so we can prevent the one more that would otherwise happen after Missile Party. While both An and Yusuke go down on the first turn, Makoto manages to dodge both attacks, and we can revive everybody before Piggytron starts rolling out. This is the most dangerous turn of the entire phase, as the first rollout cannot be prevented, and since it is an almighty attack, there is also no way to nullify the damage. The only thing we can do is cast Sukunda on the boss to lower its accuracy, make sure to have Tsukukasha on all party members, and then hope that the party, Joker especially, manages to dodge the incoming attack. And this is just what happened on the very first attempt already. With the exception of Yusuke, everybody dodges March of the Piggy, and with that phase 1 is pretty much won. We can stop the second rollout by throwing a valuable item, and after that, Piggytron will only use fire or physical attacks, so as long as Tetrakarn is up, Joker is immune against all incoming damage. Due to our slight overleveling, the party in general deals good damage to Piggytron, so while everybody is still up, we can quickly get the boss's HP down. Before we hit the final attack, we need to switch into Shikiuchi to have a physical and gun immunity going into phase 2. Unfortunately, I miscounted the damage and took down Piggytron early, which resulted in Joker still having Decarabia equipped by the time the transition happens, and needless to say, there is no surviving this. This means that we need Lady Luck one more time on the following attempt in order to avoid March of the Piggy again. And just like in the previous attempt, everybody but one party member managed to dodge, so we can continue on. By the way, I don't know if anybody has noticed this yet, but I did all of this on keyboard since this was during my 1 week vacation, and because I'm such a smart guy, I forgot to take my controller with me, and I honestly have to say that playing this game via keyboard is atrocious and probably an entire challenge in itself. You know what is not atrocious though? Subbing to the channel if you haven't already. I know I keep saying stuff like that, but subbing really helps out the channel a lot, and since I do a lot of challenges like this, you should totally sub if you haven't already so you can check out future and also past videos as well. Now back to the battle. This time we got really lucky with the boss's attacks and managed to have the entire party alive by the time the transition to phase 2 happens, but since this happened faster than I expected, we again have Decarabia equipped, so once the initial Tetrakarn was broken, Joker gets wiped yet again. I really need to take this a little more careful. On attempt number 3, Joker was finally caught by March of the Piggy, which honestly took longer than I expected, and on attempt 4, Joker not only dodges the rollout, but this time around we make sure to switch into Shikiuchi in time before transitioning into phase 2. While we only have Joker alive at the moment, this is not a problem as we can revive everybody and then have An cast Lullaby to end the turn. We need to incapacitate the guards before we can damage Kaneshiro himself, which works pretty well. Kaneshiro likes to use Lullaby as well and then hit technical damage on the party, but with Shikiuchi equipped, Joker is immune against all his regular attacks, so even if we get super unlucky, we can't game over, for now at least. Once the guards are taken care of, we throw a Molotov cocktail to burn the boss, and then follow up with technical damage via nuke attacks. This is already enough to trigger Kaneshiro to use Make It Rain, which is another almighty attack that we have to dodge. Although the attack only deals percentage based damage, it will do at least 1 damage, which would wipe us if Joker gets hit, but luckily he manages to dodge. We are not just done yet, as the boss will use said attack one more time, and on the last possible attack that can wipe Joker, of course it connects and we game over yet again. While that was unlucky, there is nothing we could have done to prevent that. What we can try to do though is deal so much damage within a single turn that we skip the first scripted Make It Rain and make it straight to the second one, which would mean that we only have to dodge one attack in phase 2 to make it through the battle. But before that, we have to make it back there again. After Joker gets rolled over once more, we dodge the attack on the next attempt and then make it back into phase 2 again. Just like in previous attempts, we sleep the guards, burn Kaneshiro, and then try to get his HP down quickly. After both Makoto and An got wiped by the boss, we bring them back and get a lucky Showtime trick on Makoto, which deals enough damage to immediately trigger the last Make It Rain, and this time around, Joker manages to dodge. Kaneshiro runs out of money, the guards flee, we revive the entire party, and then only need one more attack to take the boss down for good and complete Palace number 3 in the process. Not going to lie, this was more strategic than I anticipated at first. I was prepared for Piggytron, but somehow completely forgot about Make It Rain at first, which added another layer of randomness to the battle, but luckily we made it. With Kaneshiro out of the way, we have our next downtime portion of the game. We can start Makoto's Confidant and also continue working on everybody else's. At the same time, we want to raise our charm, considering we're going to need rank 4 to continue Takemi's Confidant and eventually max charm to finish Makoto later on. Considering we haven't really worked on increasing our technical rank either, we will get it up to rank 3 as we still need max proficiency for the final technical rank as well. We unlock the fishing pond, and this will be a place where we're going to spend lots of time later on, as there is an accessory available here that we really want to get, but more on that when it becomes relevant. We hang out with Yoshida whenever he's available, because we also get extra charm points during his Confidant, and also watch charm DVDs during evenings if there isn't anything other useful Confidant available. Shortly afterwards, we hit rank 4 on charm, so after starting off Best Girl Hifumi's Confidant, we can finally get Takemi's Mementos request, and considering that we already have 8 open requests, I think it's time we head back into Mementos for the first time ever since the tutorial section. Thanks to the party's high level, we can insta-kill pretty much every enemy on the way, which cuts down grinding by quite a bit. The majority of Mementos bosses are not a huge deal either. Everything that can't be shocked can easily be taken out with technical damage. Everything that can't, well, we still don't have a lot of problems due to our high level, but party members and even Joker will go down occasionally if the enemy gets a turn in. And since that is pretty much all to mention about Mementos, we skip forward to the point where we're done with everything and return to the real world. We continue to hang out with our Confidants and can advance quite a few of them now that we got the first couple of Mementos requests out of the way, with the most important one obviously being Takemi. We want access to her ointments, so we hang out with her whenever she's available. We also hang out with Akechi and unlock the chess club during his rank 4. We're not going to come in here during the week because we have tons of Confidants that need attention. We also don't want to overpower our party too much, so we only come here during Sundays if there are useful skills to be learned, like Mataru Kasha and Masaku Kasha, or Tetra Karn or Makara Karn. During Takemi's rank 9, we also decide to romance her in this playthrough. I had no idea at first who to romance, but her ointments might prove to be very useful and definitely justifies choosing her as waifu for this challenge. We max Kawakami's Confidant, and after hitting max proficiency, we can now unlock the final technical rank, and considering we are already deep into the next story, this comes at the perfect time as we head into Best Girl Futaba's palace on the next day. The first mini-boss encounter is against Garuda, which we easily take care of via status elements like Sleep or Freeze, and then just follow up with technical hits. Same goes for the first mod battle. We throw a stun gun to shock the enemy since mod nulls gun attacks, and then once again go for technical nuke damage. Mod recovers before we can get it down, but when its turn comes up, it only summons a Lamia so we can put both enemies to sleep with Lullaby and then finish them off without ever getting attacked. When we trigger a fusion alarm, we head into the Velvet Room to itemize a Fu key, which gets us a Wind Amp skill card. Combined with the Wind Boost card we get from regular itemization, we can build a huge wind-based persona which also combos off incredibly well with technical hits from the burn status. Generally, having both Wind Boost and Amp this early in the game lets you annihilate pretty much every random encounter that does not resist or annul wind in any form. We head into the second mod fight, which is even easier than the first one, as it comes with 2 adds from the get-go, so we can shock the boss again with a stun gun, and then start building up a Tom Pass to deal big damage to all enemies. Just like in the first battle, Mod recovers before we can get it down, but only summons another Lamia so we can easily take care of both enemies and end the battle without ever being attacked again. The final battle of the infiltration part is against the Willseed Gatekeeper Alilat. Alilat is weak to fire, so not only can we hit its weakness, we can also burn it on the one more, which results in Makoto hitting technical damage with her nuke attacks. We get lucky as An dodges the enemy's Bufodyne, then go for more technical damage, and we're able to take it down before it gets another turn. And that is all for this palace. Before we leave, we stop by the Velvet Room where we get access to the Gallows feature, one of the most useful things where we can sacrifice personas to gain experience on a persona of our choosing. During Fusion Alarm, this especially comes in handy as we can not only get an extra stat boost, but the follow-up Gallows will always trigger a fusion accident which will raise the persona's stats without putting any extra experience on it, so it's a perfect way to min-max your go-to persona. Once that is done, we leave the palace and prepare for the next boss fight. With Takemi's Confidant now being maxed, we can buy both physical and magical ointments at the clinic, which comes at the perfect time since we need those for Shadow Wakaba if we can't do enough damage in time. We buy enough ointments to have a decent amount and also stock up on revival items. At the gun shop, we get the best and newest gun for all party members, and then hand over the calling card to Futaba before heading back into the palace for big boss fight number 4 against Shadow Wakaba. Part 1 of the battle is scripted. We only have to survive for a couple of turns. To make sure that Choka doesn't accidentally get sniped, we equip Shikiuchi to null the physical hits, and then throw a magic ointment to reflect the wind damage from Wing Blast. Once we got through the first 3 turns, Futaba awakens to a persona and the actual battle begins. And I am really glad we get to do this with a full party again, considering how much trouble we usually have here in the Arcana challenges. Futaba automatically reflects the first nosedive, which deals almost half of the entire boss's HP back at her. While setting up the ballista, we empty everybody's guns to get the most damage in while she is still up in the air. Wakaba takes 5 times damage from both physical and gun attacks, which is why we upgraded our guns just before. After the second repelled attack, Wakaba snipes on with Wing Blast, but right afterwards we shoot her down and can now attack with physical damage. As you might remember, we can't use any physical skills, so we just have to go with regular attacks which, due to the damage multiplier, still deal way more damage than magic would in this scenario. We have 2 turns before Wakaba is sent into the air again, but luckily we have 1 more scripted reflected damage turn from Futaba, which in combination with the last gun attack is just enough to finish Wakaba off before she can get into a regular attacking pattern. This is definitely the easiest boss in any playthrough as long as you have a full party. In a solo setting, this is an absolute nightmare. Back in the real world, Futaba will now take the longest nap in the history of mankind, so we have quite a bit of downtime before the story continues. Since we have gotten Guts to rank 4 in the meantime, we can now initiate the Confidant with Gundaddy Iwai, while continuing to work on all other confidants as well. We don't have Max Charm for Makoto yet, so we mostly focus on the other party members during daytime. One thing I haven't mentioned at all so far is the studio equipment that you can wash at the laundromat. We're not really looking for defensive stats since every hit will be a one-shot anyways, but if we can get armor with good amounts of evasion on it, they can help when it comes to dodging physical attacks. We started off the confident with best girl Chihaya, get Masako Kasha onto Makoto by bringing her into the chess club on Sunday, and then start going fishing for the first time. Like mentioned earlier, we will spend lots of days here when nobody useful is available, since we need to get a total of 100,000 points in order to buy the Fish God's badge. This accessory comes with the Elite Dance passive, which halves the accuracy of all enemies attacking the party member wearing it. Almost doubling our dodge chance is huge in a setup where every hit results in a game over, and while we don't need it immediately, we definitely want to get it down the line, especially for late game boss fights. Since we still haven't maxed our charm, we also start hanging out with Oya. While she is probably the most useless confident in the entire game, hanging out with her gives Choka some extra charm, which we need anyways, so might as well use that kind of synergy. We can also stop by Chihaya on the way for a stat boost, so we can squeeze out as much charm as possible during Oya's visits to rank it up faster. At this point we've already maxed out An and also have Yusuke at rank 9 already, so Makoto needs to close in as well. Once you get your party members' confidence to rank 9, not only will they have an endure passive that keeps them alive when they would get KO'd for the first time, they will also protect Choka from lethal damage in case a single target attack would otherwise wipe him. Luckily we get the last points in charm soon after, so we can now continue with Makoto's confidence as well. We get the final rank on Yusuke, work the part-time jobs to unlock all the Summer Mementos requests, and then max out Yoshida as well. With Futaba now recovered, we get the first rank of her confidence, and then return to Mementos to make some progress and clear the requests we've gotten in the meantime. With technical hits, we can easily take out the majority of mini-bosses, so we're not going to waste too much time going into details here. The more important part is that once we trigger a fusion alarm, we head to the Velvet Room for the next very important fusion of the challenge, and of course I'm talking about the MF that repels physical, good old Arahaba Ki. While it has a double weakness against both Psy and Nuke, it repels all physical and gun attacks while also resisting Blasted Curse. We can easily cover the weaknesses with Makara Karn that it conveniently already comes with from the get-go, and with its immunity trait preventing it from getting inflicted with ailments, this is a great overall upgrade. Once we're done with everything, we return to the real world, start off Shinya's confidence, and then head to Hawaii where we hang out with Makoto because our waifu has to stay at the clinic, and Makoto is the only option we haven't rejected yet. After coming back to Japan, we have that entire thing with Morgana that we're going to skip because it's easily the most annoying part of the entire game, and with that it is now time to head into the next palace. For our first mini-boss battle, we have to go through Best Girl Haru's fiancé first, who is accompanied by 2 robots. We can use the ads to build up a Baton Pass with the fire weakness, and then pass over to Haru, who deals good damage to the mini-boss with Psy Magic. Thanks to Endure, Yusuke stays alive after the enemy's attack, and that's all we need to put it down on the following turn already. With Haru now officially joining the party, we have a difficult decision to make. Going forward, what is our starting lineup going to be? Haru is a must add to the party simply because of her getting access to both Tetra Karn and Makara Karn. Her passive trait reduces the chance to be inflicted with an ailment, which also comes in very handy. The problem is, who we're going to bench now. An is the strongest magic caster in the entire game, Makoto is the most versatile, and Yusuke's passive ability could be a huge help in dodging physical attacks. In the end, I decided that it might be the best strategy to just go all out on damage, so we will bench Yusuke in favor of Haru going forward. Thanks to Mishima's confident perks, backup party members will get full experience once we max him, so even if this is the wrong choice, we can easily just switch Yusuke back in later again without him falling too far back on levels. With that out of the way, we continue making our way through the palace before facing off against the robot chiefs next. Every chief is accompanied by several small robots, so we can again use their weakness to build up a Baton Pass, and then obliterate the mini-boss with a huge weakness attack. We're not going to go in detail onto those battles because it's pretty much always the same pattern, so we skip over to the point where we reach level 42 on Joker. In the Velvet Room, we can now fuse a Hekaton Kairos, who is the first persona to learn the Endure passive. We already have Endure on all of our other party members, but Joker until now still went down after getting hit a single time, so with Endure we have somewhat of a safety anchor now so we don't immediately game over. We will carry over the passive via Gallus to Arahabaki during the next fusion alarm, but before that, we continue in the dungeon with the next mini-boss battle against the robot army, and this one is a non-issue. We just knock the robots down with a freeze spray, and then pass over to Haru, who can easily take all of them out with a double Mopsio. Repeat that step 2 more times, and we are already done again. The final mini-boss of the palace is the Woolseed Gatekeeper Melchizedek, who is usually one of the harder battles. Luckily, we can once again work with status elements. We throw a Molotov cocktail to burn the enemy, throw out a big boosted technical Garula with Arahabaki, and then pass over to Makoto for some more technical nuke damage. The enemy will always attack with God's Hand on its first turn, which is not a problem now that everybody has Endure on them, so Makoto takes the hit, and we're able to take it down on the following turn before the mini-boss gets another chance to act. And that is all for this palace already. We tried to carry over Endure onto Arahabaki, which took a surprising long amount of time due to the pretty bad luck we have gotten, and then leave the palace to prepare for the upcoming boss battle. We had to Kichiuchi to buy the Psy Necklace for Haru to give her magic skills a good damage bump with Psyamp, since she will have to take care of the big boy robot face and we want to make sure that she has the necessary firepower to take them out in time. And speaking of Haru, since she's the newest addition to the glass cannons, we're taking her to the darts place to maximize her baton pass rank as well. We sent the calling card on the following day, and then are back in the palace as we go up against Okamura's robot army. For many, this is the hardest boss fight in the entire game, but if you know the mechanics behind it, it's usually not a big issue. We will be heavily exploiting weaknesses and baton pass hits, and if everything goes according to plan, we should make it through most robot waves without them ever getting a turn in. Wave 1 is weak to fire, so they're easily dispatched with a double Maragion by On. Wave 2 is weak to Ice and Psy, so after knocking one robot down with an item, we pass over to Haru, who throws out 2 Mopsios to take everything out. Wave 3 is weak to electricity, so we throw a stun gun first, pass over to Joker, and then switch into Thunderbird, who easily takes care of the enemy with an electricity boosted Mazionga. For wave 4, we switch back into Arahabaki and hit the enemy's weakness with Magarula. Due to Okamura's defense buff, one of the robots survived, but luckily it hits into Arahabaki's repel, and we can take out the last enemy on the following turn. For the final big boy wave, we build up full baton pass by throwing 3 items with the party members, and then pass the final baton over to Haru. Since this is by far the tankiest wave, we can't take them down in a single turn, so we throw a spotlight onto Joker to make sure all enemies hit into him. The big boys only use Megaton raids, so Arahabaki can easily reflect all damage, and we can set up another baton pass on the following turn to wipe all enemies within time, which leads to the biggest boy being summoned. We renew our attack buff, and with the spotlight still active, we can make sure that the robot hits into Joker on the first couple of turns. After that, we throw stun guns to shock the enemy, and then hit technical damage with nuke magic or gun attacks. After the ailment wears off, the robot prepares for its big bang attack, but at this point it's already low on HP, so we can take it out before it gets a chance to fire the special attack off. For Robot Haru, we throw another spotlight on Joker to make sure the party takes no damage, and just when I was checking whether we still have our Endure on, I noticed that the party has full HP, so this attempt is null and void. I forgot to adjust the max HP at the start of the recording segment, so we have to quit out of the game and do the entire thing again. Good job, Ragnar, well done, I'm proud of you. Now, it's not like the boss fight is such a big problem, considering the enemies didn't land a single hit on the party, but nonetheless, for the sake of being within the challenge's rules, we do it one more time. And I'm not going to go into detail on every wave again because it's pretty much the same as in the first attempt, and we're even able to take down all waves on the very first turn this time due to better setups, and the biggest boy is not an issue again either. Now back onto Robot Haru. We again throw a spotlight on Joker to bait her into attacking him during her regular turns, and then tank the explosion with the party's Endure. Well, except on Haru, who goes down from Robot Haru's explosion. Since Okumura is the only enemy left standing now, we can easily revive Haru back, and then a single hit to the boss is enough to take him out for good and complete the next palace. So far, we are hanging in pretty well, but considering that late game bosses like to use almighty attacks, I'm not sure how much further we can take it with simple strategies like this. Either way, we have some more downtime until the story advances. We head to Chimbocho to buy all the books we need for the Knowing Your Heart book later so we can expand our technical conditions and then continue working on our confidence. With Haru in our party, we can continue advancing Maruki's confidence now, who we still need to max to get the royal content later on. Since we have also gotten kindness to rank 4 earlier, we can also advance Futaba further now. We max Makoto's confidence a couple of days later, and then take her to the chess club on the following Sunday to get Concentrate on her. Ann is going to learn Concentrate via level up later, so we have 2 party members that can go all out on offense, with Haru as a backup who can use Concentrate if we equip Okumura's Will Seed accessory on her. With the Cheating Gamer request unlocked, we can also work on Shinya's confidence now, and while his perks may not be the most useful ones, we gain extra kindness by hanging out with him, which we're going to need in order to max out Sojiro. We max Mishima's confidence to make sure that backup party members get full experience as well, in case we need to switch our party lineup, and on days where nothing important is going on, we start going to the fishing ponds. Like mentioned earlier, we need 100,000 points to buy the Fish Gods badge for Elite Dance, and considering that the best fishes, even with tags on them, only give about 2,000 points, we're going to be spending a lot of days here in the near future. We take Ann to the chess club to learn Tetrakarn, and then accidentally stumble into the final palace where Kasumi awakens to a persona, and we have to battle a Byakuya. With the enemy being weak to bless attacks, we can easily hit its weakness, and although Kasumi gets wiped, we can bring her back with Morgana, and then finish the enemy off shortly afterwards. We still have a couple of days before the story advances, so we continue fishing if there is nothing else to do, and otherwise hang out with our confidence. We advance Maruki's confidence to rank 9, get Mataru Kasha on Haru during a chess club visit, the party goes to Totally Not Disneyland, and Haru's dad tragically passes away after stepping on a Lego. On the plus side, with Haru's dad out of the way, we can now start hanging out with his daughter, and we will do so as often as possible, seeing as we want to quickly rank her up since she's part of our starting lineup. Akechi blackmails the party into joining, and we head into the next palace as we enter Sai's casino. With Akechi, we theoretically have a new party member available, but there isn't really anything he can do that could replace anybody in our setup, and considering he will be gone after this palace again anyways, it's not really worth investing any kind of effort into him. In the Velvet Room, we've used Giri Mikala, which is another persona that repels both physical and gun attacks, but with Arahaba Key having much better magic and agility stats, it is still quite a bit superior. Nonetheless, we want to get Giri up in levels for it to learn the Repel physical passive, which we can carry over onto other personas during either fusion or via Gallows later. The first mini-boss fight is against Nebiros, which is weak against both Bless and Wind. With Arahaba Key having both the Wind boost and Amp passive, it's needless to say that this battle is not going to last long. The bullet hell trigger from Shinya's confidence certainly helped aiding in damage, and we're able to take the enemy down before it even gets its first turn. Same thing with Yadayu, though I'm not entirely sure if this even counts as a mini-boss. Just shock it and then go for technical damage. The final mini-boss battle for part 1 of the palace is against Norn, and while the enemy has no weakness and cannot be shocked, we can still work with Burn. While Norn snipes Haru, who is the only party member without Endure at this point, this is no problem as we just follow up with technical damage via nuke attacks and easily take it down. And that's already everything for part 1 of the palace.
During the evening, we trade the Mystery Stew for the Angel's Badge in Kichiuchi with Trader Sakai, which is another very useful accessory. Angelic Grace increases the party members' evasion against magical attacks, and while it is not as useful as Ali Dance, I'll gladly take every chance I can get to somehow get the party's evasion up. And since we are already here, we stop by the chess club to get Makara Karn and Makoto. We got Tetra Karn on earlier, so now each party member can cast some kind of bureau, with Haru having access to both spells. On the following day, we visit Sai in the courtroom to remove the barrier, and then head back for part 2 of the Casino Palace. Here we go up against the Willseed Gatekeeper Bale first. Again we shock the enemy, then concentrate with Makoto, pass over the baton to her, and then hit with Frydine. While the mini-boss recovers and wipes Haru with Magarudine due to her still not having Endure, we can easily revive her, stun Bale one more time, and then finish it off. At the end of the Dark Labyrinth, we have to battle Rajanaga, and unsurprisingly we're working with status elements here as well. Again we shock the enemy, throw out a concentrated Frydine which is almost enough to one-shot it, so a single follow-up attack is all we need to end the battle. The solo Choker Gauntlet, as always, is a choke. The two Ganeshas only attack with Miracle Punch and can't hurt Choker with our Habaki equipped. The Rangdar are one-shot with a Makuga from Daisuju, and Thor wipes himself after a charged repelled Megaton raid. And that is all there is to that dungeon. Before we leave, we head back to the Velvet Room to upgrade our Arahabaki into a Rangdar. Similar to Arahabaki, it repels both physical and guns, has 2 weaknesses in electricity and bless, but with it also nulling both fire and curse, it is superior affinity wise, and considering that we can further buff its stats via Gallows, there is a good chance that Rangdar will be our final persona for most of the remaining challenge. Back in the real world, we have our downtime early due to not being able to set the calling card just yet, but considering that we have gotten some more requests in the meantime, we head into Mementos first to clear everything that's open. And I don't think it is surprising to anybody that we annihilate pretty much everything down there, either with technical hits or with straight up damage from the boost and damn passive skills. Once we're done with everything, we head back into the real world and now finally start the Confidant with Haru. As mentioned earlier, Haru is the only party member to not have Endure yet, but luckily she's available on most days, so this shouldn't take all too long. We also continue working on Akechi, which includes his rank 8 where we have to battle him in Mementos, and here is where I noticed something odd. As soon as the battle started, it automatically ended again and counted as a loss. At first I figured that I accidentally miscounted and put Choker's HP to 0, since this usually results in an immediate game over or a game crash. So after reloading the save and checking Choker's HP, we go back into the battle, only to have the same thing happen again. The Akechi battle usually ends automatically when Choker drops to a certain HP threshold, but I figured this would be percentage based rather than his actual HP. Seemingly, that's not the case though, so it looks like we may be locked out of maxing Akechi's Confidant completely. This shouldn't be such a big issue since Akechi is not planned to be part of our party lineup anyways, so the only thing we're going to miss out on is the final FMV at the end of the game, which isn't that important anyways. With Akechi being blocked off, we head back to the fishing pond and continue getting our points up. We still have quite a bit to go until we hit the 100,000 points needed, but considering that we have already maxed out the majority of Confidants, we should get our count up much faster now. In the clinic, we stack up on physical and magic ointments and then start taking Futaba to the chess club on Sundays. Futaba cannot learn the regular skills available here, instead she will gain new support skills where she will debuff all enemies on the field. This is not going to be the big difference maker, but it might come in very handy occasionally against larger groups of enemies and or bosses. Speaking of Futaba, we max her Confidant shortly after, and then finally get the last points needed at the fishing pond to buy the Fish God's badge for Elite Dance. We get Haru up to rank 8 just in time to learn Endure for the upcoming boss battle, and max Maruki's Confidant on his last day at school. Once the Day of Reckoning arrives, we send the calling card to Sai and then head back into the palace for the battle against her. Phase 1 is scripted. Before the boss starts the roulette, we put the first couple of mirrors onto the party. Since both phases are counted as one battle, the mirrors will prevail through phases until they are hit into or destroyed. Speaking of the roulette, there is a little problem that comes with that. The first scripted roulette that the party always loses bets the party's HP. This means that on the very first attack in the battle, the entire party already gets their endure triggered without us having any chance to do anything about it. After catching her cheating, we win the second roulette and then already transition to phase 2. Sai will now spin the roulette again and then land on a random element with which she will attack the next couple of turns. With Makoto in the starting lineup, it's almost guaranteed that she will rope Sai first, so we have to make sure that Bakara Karn is set up on her and have hit Sai into Makoto's magic mirror. With Sai being on Psy now, she will take neutral damage from nuke attacks while resisting everything else, so we attack with both Makoto and Joker, while An and Haru are setting up Tetrakarns for the rest of the party, and also Bakara Karn on Makoto. By the time Sai rolls the roulette again, she's already down to like 20% of her HP, which means she will always roll Almighty. With that, she's now taking neutral damage from all elements again, and is going to throw out a couple of very strong attacks. Unfortunately for her, the first one is going to be Brutal Impact, which is an AoE gun attack, and since we have Tetrakarns set up on all characters, we just reflect all damage back, which results in Sai wiping herself, and therefore completing the next palace. We go through the intro section again without any further issues, get captured, go through like a million cutscenes, and then end up in Shido's palace a couple of days later. Before we start the infiltration though, we still want to max Haru's confidence first since we only need 2 more ranks on her. We buy an Atom necklace for a new camp on Makoto, and then head back into the palace, and we get going immediately because we have a lot of mini bosses to cover here. We start off with the first battle against Yamato no Orochi, and there is not too much to talk about here. The enemy will set up for several turns before unleashing a strong Bufudyne, but with the party shocking the boss, we won't see any of that. Makoto uses Concentrate, Haru buffs the party with Matsuru Kasha, An knocks the enemy down with her gun and passes over the baton to Makoto, who then proceeds to take the enemy out with a single Frydyne. Miniboss number 2 is for Neos, and while it is also susceptible to several status ailments, it has fast heal, meaning that any ailment that doesn't last longer than a turn will instantly get healed. Luckily, Burn has a chance to last for 2 turns, so we throw a Molotov cocktail and then hope for the best. For Neos himself also likes to work with status ailments, in this case Brainwash, but thanks to Haru's passive trait Icy Glare reducing the chance of those landing by 25%, the status doesn't always connect. Unfortunately for Neos also immediately recovered from the first burn, but once the second one is applied, we start going to town with big technical damage and take the enemy down with only 2 attacks. We continue on with Hanuman, who is accompanied by 2 Garudas. Since the mini-boss will rage one of the 2 Garudas while he himself also mostly uses physical attacks, we throw a spotlight on Joker to draw the enemies in, where the raged Garuda immediately proceeds to wipe itself. We burn the second Garuda, wipe it with technical nuke damage, and with Hanuman being the only enemy left standing, it is only a couple of more attacks by the party until it goes down as well. Before we continue collecting the letters of recommendation, we make a short detour to the Velvet Room. Joker is already at level 62, so we could have used Trumpeter, which is at level 59 a while ago, but somehow I completely forgot about that. In order to even do so though, we still need to rank up the Twin Warden's Confidant first to get access to the higher advanced fusions. Once the Strength Arcana is maxed, we fuse ourselves a Trumpeter because it is the first person to learn Debilitate, a spell that debuffs all of an enemy's stats, which we want to carry over to our main persona via Gallus later. Trumpeter in general has great elemental affinities, repelling electricity and blast, while also draining ice and nulling curse. Since we use Girin Mekala during the fusion chain, we also carry over Repel Physical onto it in order to prepare for the final boss fight of the game early. Before we get there though, We still have a couple of other things to do, with the first one being the palace's Willseed gatekeeper Kali, who is accompanied by 2 Dakini. With all enemies exclusively using physical attacks, Joker is immune to all damage due to Rangda. We just go all out on attacks since we don't care about the other party members going down in this battle, and with all the endures and protects from Futaba, we even make it all the way through without losing a single party member. With the last Willseed secured, we continue on our journey to get 5 letters of recommendation by going up against Oberon, who is accompanied by 2 Titanias next. We start the battle by burning the boss, and then knock the Titania down with Psy attacks from Haru to get a baton pass onto Joker and some nice technical damage with Garudine. Titania hits the only party member who nulls nuke attacks, and with the follow-up turns from the party, we can already get all enemies down before Oberon himself even has another chance to act again. The final letter is gained from Ongyoki, who has a fixed attacking pattern which we will use to our advantage. The boss always starts off the battle by using Maiga on, so we try to get a couple of magical mirrors up and reflect it right back at him. After this, he will go for Tempest Slash and Mudon, both of which are single target attacks, so we throw another spotlight on Joker to draw them in. Rangda repels physical and nulls curse attacks, so again, Joker completely walls the boss. We set up concentrate on the rest of the party and then throw out attacks while keeping our mirrors up, and by the time the next Maiga on happens, the boss is low enough on HP that it wipes itself from the reflected damage. The only battle left in this palace is against Akechi now. The first phase against the summoned personas is still easy as they will only attack with physical attacks, so after throwing another spotlight on Joker, we can watch them beat themselves without the party taking any damage. Joker makes sure to also cast Makarakan on himself to be prepared once the transition happens into the Akechi battle. With both An and Makoto already concentrated though, we only need a single turn of attacks to get Akechi down before he even gets a chance to act again. Robin Hood Akechi transforms into Loki Akechi, and now the battle starts getting a little more interesting considering he will now attack twice each turn. Again, we throw a spotlight to draw enemy attacks in, since Akechi will exclusively use physical attacks in the early phase of the battle. Again, we charge up with the girls while also setting up Makarakarns on the entire party to prepare for phase 2 where he will only use magic attacks. Thanks to the party dealing huge damage to the boss though, we don't even get to see this phase as we will immediately jump into the last phase where he will glare at Joker to prepare for his Levantine attack. Unfortunately for Akechi, his HP at this point are low enough that one more Garudine by Joker takes him out and easily ends the last battle of the Palace Infiltration segment. I have to admit that this was way easier than I thought it would be, and we didn't even need to abuse reflecting mirrors too much for this. Either way, we're done with the exploration part now, so we leave the palace only to send the calling card on the following day to battle Shido. The Shido boss fight is split up into several battles, with the first one having 3 different forms we have to go through. During the first form, he will repel all physical and gun attacks while mostly attacking with physical attacks himself. We regularly set up buffs and debuffs, as well as mirrors since Shido likes to use Dekaja, Dekunda and Tetra Break in this phase, effectively wasting some of his turns. Like Akechi before, he gets to act twice, so we still have to watch out for the incoming damage, which is why we always try to have our party's evasion buffed while keeping Shido Omni debuffed with Debilitate. After a couple of turns, he will use Beast King's Wrath, which is an AoE physical attack that unfortunately triggers the entire party's Endure, except Joker who still repels physical thanks to Rangda. After throwing out a couple of big concentrated attacks, Shido will switch into the second form where he will resist all magic attacks while being neutral to physical. Because the party has already done so much damage in the earlier phase though, only 2 physical attacks are enough before Shido transforms yet again into his final pyramid form. The boss is now neutral to everything, but since he's already low on HP, a few attacks by the party, including a nice Showtime attack by Ana, are already enough to get the enemy down, with Shido not having gotten a single turn in either phase 2 or 3. But we're still not done yet. Up next we have to battle regular Shido. This version luckily only attacks once each turn, which already makes things easier. Shido will start the battle by using Heat Riser, and then switch between physical and magical attacks. With dual mirrors up on the entire party, we can easily reflect everything back at him while also setting up concentrates and then go for the attack. Shido usually starts using Megadolan in the later stages of this battle, but again we're doing so much damage that he never even gets a chance to do so, and shortly afterwards he already transforms into true Shido. Like in his first battle, he now gets to act twice each turn again, where the first attack will usually be either physical or magical, while the second action is some kind of buff like Heat Riser or Charge. With Shido having a set attacking pattern again though, we can set up our mirrors as needed and throw everything back at him. Once he drops below half HP, we will throw a spotlight on Choka since he will now go for his 3-turn special attack where he first uses Tyrant Fists, then Tyrant's Purge, and then the AoE almighty attack Tyrant's Wave. Luckily, we only get to see the first one of those, as the reflected damage from Tyrant's Fist is already enough to push him into the last phase where Shido ejects everybody but Choka out of the battle, and we head into a one-on-one. With Shido again using only physical and magical attacks, we just need to make sure to keep Makarakarn up, and then watch Shido slowly kill himself, and just like that, the next palace is successfully completed. After doing so many Persona 5 challenge runs, I have gotten pretty accustomed to most of the boss's AI attacking patterns, so knowing what is coming up in advance definitely helps in setting up everything to not only keep the party alive, but also reflect all attacks back at the boss. Back in the real world, we now have some more downtime before the story advances. We complete the last few requests, max the remaining confidence, and take on to the Chess Club for her to learn debilitate so we have a backup if Choka is occupied and cannot apply debuffs. On Christmas Eve, the party decides to erase mementos, so we are off into the next dungeon section of the game. We enter deep mementos, but briefly return to regular mementos before going back in again. This will cause all bonuses that we bought at Chose with the stamps to carry over into the mementos dungeon, which we mostly use in order to get double experience. The first part of the dungeon doesn't really have any real bosses that we can talk about. The only thing worth mentioning is that we've used Gabrielle since she's one of the few personas that learn Ali Dance. We can carry that skill over to Rangda, which not only frees up Choka's accessory slot, it also gives us the opportunity to give it to another party member to greatly increase their evasion as well. With that, we head into the first scripted battle against the Holy Grail, and this one is special in the sense that it is the very first boss that exclusively attacks with almighty damage, so there is no way to cheese the boss by repelling the incoming attacks. We have to debuff the enemy, buff the party's evasion, and then hope that they regularly dodge the attacks. Luckily, every party member has Endure on them, and even if that has already triggered, we still have Futaba who will intervene in the battle for one time in order to avoid somebody getting KO'd. Once we have our buffs and concentrates set up, we can lock the Holy Grail down into auto-healing every turn until the scripted part of the battle is over. Mementos merges with the real world, and we now have to go through a couple of Archangels, starting with Uriel. We open up with Debilitate and get our buffs up in order to go for the attack. Uriel will summon 2 angels to his side on the first turn, which is also going to be the reason for his downfall, because the angels are weak to curse attacks. We can use that to our advantage to hit their weakness with Gabriel, and then pass the baton over to An, who will take out all enemies at once with Maragidyne. We continue on with Raphael. He will only buff himself and charge before going for a sword stance, a single target physical attack, so with everybody on Endure, we don't need to worry about party members going down. In fact, the only attack that Raphael gets off target is Choker, who immediately reflects it back at him, and a couple of concentrated attacks later, the second Archangel is down as well. Archangel number 3 is Gabrielle, who unlike Raphael, exclusively attacks with magical attacks. She will switch between using Divine Judgment twice in one turn, followed by Maziodyne and Mabufudyne on the next one. Divine Judgment halves the target's HP, which in our case would do 1 damage and trigger the Endure, but luckily we can draw the attack with a spotlight on Choker and have him switch over to Trumpeter, who repels Blast during those turns. We set up buffs and concentrate on the party, and then Maziodyne triggers the first Endures, and Mabufo gets blocked by Futaba to avoid somebody going down. If this happens again, we are in big troubles, but luckily the party again does so much damage that we get Gabriel down before she even has a chance to go for another attack. The final Archangel battle is against Michael, who similar to Uriel, summons 2 angels at his sides. Again we open up with Debilitate and buffs on the party and set up Concentrate. We throw a Ouija board to insta-kill the angels, and even though we only got 1, it is enough to baton pass over to An, who deals huge damage and takes out the other one with Blazing Hell. Michael will always start his first attacking turn with Charge and Sword Dance, so we throw a spotlight on Joker to draw the enemy's attack in and reflect it back right at him. Divine Judgment gets pulled in as well, though the follow-up Maziodyne triggers the first Endures on the party. At this point Michael is already on low HP though, so we can get him down before he gets another chance to attack, and with all the Archangels out of the way, the path to the Holy Grail is set. We send Haru to cut the cables, while the remaining party members buff and debuff. Like mentioned before, the Holy Grail exclusively uses Almighty attacks, with Light Edge being AoE, so we need to hope to get as many dodges as possible. Once the cables are cut, the Grail will charge for a big attack, but luckily this is all we need to throw out the last big attacks and get it down before it has a chance for the attack to go off. With that, we transition to the Yaldabaoth battle, and since this is considered an extra battle and not just a transition, the entire party has their Endure restored. Depending on how many parts of the boss are up, we can get attacked up to 5 times per turn, with mostly Almighty attacks which we want to avoid at all costs. The plan here is to stack up buff duration before the first part gets summoned, and then deplete the boss's HP so fast that he'll be stuck on only summoning new parts each turn, with none of them ever getting a chance to get any kind of attacks other than the scripted ones off. This is also where I would like to mention about buff stacking. In every single video, I get people commenting, "Ugh, you can't stack buffs in Persona, it gets overwritten when you recast it," which is simply not true. Yes, you cannot stack the effect of a buff, but every time you cast it, its duration gets prolonged by a full 3 turns, meaning that if you buff yourself over and over again, the buff will last for 10, 15, how many turns you buff yourself before it actually runs out. This is what we're banking on here, since once we're finished setting up, we will alternate between Concentrate and attacking skills to get damage onto Yaldabaoth fast enough to push him through all the phases. The only thing we need to hope is that party members regularly dodge the enemy's attacks during setting up, so we can keep buffing without anybody going down prematurely. Unfortunately, this did not work like I was hoping for, since Haru got hit on the first turn, Makoto on the second, and after Futaba had to intervene on the third turn to prevent Haru from going down, I decided that we need to go for damage now. Each summoned part will go for another single target Almighty attack on the first scripted turn, so we need to hope that the majority of them will go for either Joker or An, since they still have their Endures up. Some parts won't directly attack the party, but only cast passive effects like giving them a vulnerability or doubling the SP cost for the following turn, so this certainly helps as well. And while we can't prevent party members from going down completely, we can always bring them back while making sure that we're still doing enough damage to get Yaldabaoth through his phases fast enough. After Makoto wipes herself due to attacking Joker, we have reached the last phase where Yaldabaoth will charge up his big Rays of Control attack with Divine Apex. Due to all of our concentrated attacks, the boss is already on very low HP at this point, and we can easily take it out before the first Rays of Control attack ever goes off. And I have to admit, this was easier than I expected. With the majority of incoming attacks in this being Almighty, I feared for the worst, but as it turns out, the buff early and then shred the boss down strategy worked out to perfection, and we got through the battle with relatively little problems. With the god defeated, we spent Christmas time with our waifu, New Year hits, things become weird, and we end up in the final palace, now with Akechi and Kasumi at our sides. The random encounters are no issue even with our C party, but once we have to battle Hastur with only Joker and Akechi, we are running into trouble. Akechi has no Endure on him, and since the rest of the party is unavailable, We also don't have Futaba, who could potentially shield the party from a fatal blow. It also doesn't help that Hastur can cast Megadolan, which we can't shield in any way either, so we have to hope for a couple of dodges. Hastur will use Magarudyne, so we equip the Windproof Joker on Akechi to increase his chances of dodging the attack. We have no persona with a Null Wind in our stock either, so I figured that setting up Makara Karn is probably the best way to keep Joker alive. The problem is that the reflected attack does not do any damage to Hastur due to it absorbing wind, and eventually the enemy will cast another Megadolan which Joker can't dodge, so it's only a matter of time before we game over here. I gave this battle a couple of attempts, but with Joker having Hanuman equip the starting persona for Auto, Mataru and Masuku, we're also missing out on the repel physical part during the first turn, so we have attempts where the enemy wipes both party members before we even get to act for the first time. After being unsuccessful several times, I figured that it's probably a better idea to return to the Velvet Room and get ourselves a persona with Null Wind, so we only have to worry about Megadolan. And this is how I found out that the Velvet Room is not available in this segment. In fact, the last time we had a chance to fuse personas was before we fought Yaldabaoth, so if we don't find a way to get through this fight, we have to go back all the way. With the rest of the party unavailable, we are also missing out on a lot of good accessories that we can't equip now, like the Fish God's Badge for Elite Dance. At this moment, I started to panic and also laugh at the same time, because getting walled by a random mini-boss after marching through Yaldabaoth without any issues is almost kind of ironic. I was checking my skill cards to see if we maybe have something useful, but there was nothing there either. In the end, I decided to equip the Ring of Wrath on Joker, which is the Woolseed accessory from Sai's Palace, since it lets you start out with Concentrate from the get-go. The plan is to just be faster than the enemy and take it down before it gets too many chances to KO the party. We also equipped the Ring of Vanity on Akechi so he can act as support and set up the Absorbing Shield on Joker if possible. This strategy eventually brought us the victory. Joker has Endure triggered on the first attack, but Akechi managed to dodge, so we set up Debilitate, switch into Gabriel on Joker to have Elite Dance available, and then attack with a concentrated Mabufodine. Luckily, both party members dodged a follow-up Megadolan, and the party does enough damage on the next turn for Hastur to go into his scripted healing phase, so we can end the battle with a follow-up Showtime. I have to admit, this battle definitely caught me off guard. After getting through even the harder battles with relatively little issues, having that many problems with what appears to be a random mini-boss was not on my cards. Either way, we made it, so after talking to all party members, we returned to the palace to battle Sumire. With her only using physical attacks, we're safe with Rangda equipped, though it doesn't even matter since the first Garudyne puts her at low HP, to which she responds with a charge, so we only need to follow up on it to beat her. Part 2 of the battle is now against Sandria, who is accompanied by 2 Byakhee. The boss will regularly absorb the ads to restore HP, so we need to make sure to get rid of them in time. Byakhee is weak to both Ice and Nuke, so after we restored our regular party lineup, we can easily build a Baton Pass with the help of the weaknesses, and then deal huge damage to the boss. Doing this for a total of 2 times is already enough to get the boss down and complete the first segment of the final palace. Sumire officially joins the party, which is not really important as we won't use her anyways, and we're back in the palace a couple of days later. The first mini-boss battle is against Chimera and Dionysus. While Dionysus doesn't have a weakness, we can use Chimeras to build a Baton Pass and go for big damage. Unfortunately, I forgot that Dionysus nulls Curse, so only Chimera goes down from the concentrated Maigon, which means we have to follow up with a couple of regular attacks to win the battle. The final mini-boss of the segment is against the Unholy Duo, where we, to the surprise of no one at this point, work with status elements. We burn the mage and then hit it with a concentrated Mithridine to take it out in one hit, while also severely damaging the general. A follow-up Showtime attack is enough, and we're done with the first part of the final palace. Up next, we need to head into Mementos to explore the new section, but before we do that, we hang out with the majority of our A-team in order to get their third awakening. Their third awakening skills for the most part aren't really worth it since they're 2 SP costly, but the increased resistances as well as the higher stats are definitely worth it. We also head to the chess club one final time to learn a lead dance on Haru. With the skill on Choker and the accessory on either An or Makoto, we can cover 3 out of 4 party members with the evasion passive, and while it is probably not going to make the biggest difference at this point, it's still a nice thing to have in case we run into another situation I was not prepared for. We head into Memento shortly afterwards and rush towards the top. There are a couple of requests that we could do on the way, but none of the rewards are really worth it, and I was at a point where I was starting to stress myself a little to get towards the end of the game in order to keep my upload schedule somewhat consistent. Not like you're gonna miss anything in the Mementos segment here, but still. As soon as we reach the top, we deactivate the barrier, leave Mementos, and then head back into the palace. The first mini-boss on the way is Surt, and with our setup, you would assume that this is an issue since he absorbs fire and resists nuke, taking only 25% damage from it. Luckily, we kept both Fire Break and Nuke Break on An and Makoto, so we can easily dispel those resistances and attack normally. To make sure we keep the incoming attacks under control, we throw a freeze spray when Surt is about to get his next turn in order to keep it frozen, and then nuke it with technical damage. The final mini-boss of the challenge is Siegfried, who can be shocked, so I don't think I need to go into too much detail here either. Apply the ailment, concentrate your party, get a baton pass going, and then annihilate the enemy with technical damage. And with that, we are ready to head into the final boss battle of the challenge. We still have some time until that day comes though, so we can prepare properly. We invite Lavenza to Choker's room to get the Enduring Soul skill card, which we definitely want to slap onto our main persona for the final battle, but that is about all. We have done everything that could be considered useful, so at this point we're just trying to pass time quickly until we get to the final day. I was thinking whether or not to get Spellmaster at the chess club since this halves the SP cost of all spells of that character, but we are already having problems fitting skills in as they are, so I don't think it would be worth it. Once the final day arrives, we hand the calling card over to Maruki and then return to the palace for the final time. We put the Enduring Soul skill card we have just gotten early onto Trumpeter and then head into the final boss battle. And I know it's an early spoiler, but there is no way we can lose here. Maruki will only attack with either physical or blast damage, and if you paid attention, you might have noticed that Trumpeter repels both of those, so Choker is almost invincible in this battle. But Ragnar, you still need to beat the tentacles to do proper damage on Maruki. How will you do that with a single party member? Well, the answer to that is both yes and no. Reflected attacks from party members are not reduced by the tentacles and deal full damage to Azathoth, but we will still try to keep the party alive for a longer period of time just to speed up the battle and beat him the regular way. It's only 2 cycles of baton passing and doing damage until Azathoth grows, and we already reach phase 2 of the battle where it's more of the same. We concentrate and buff the entire party and then unleash our spells against Azathoth. Maruki will try to troll the party by forbidding certain things on some turns like no magic attacks or no baton passing or others, but this is more an annoyance than an actual issue. If Maruki happens to wipe everybody but Choker, Futaba will come in occasionally with ultimate support, which not only omni-buffs the entire party, it also revives all fallen party members, so we suddenly got a full party available again. In a full cycle of attacks, we can deal up to almost 5,000 damage onto Azathoth, so I don't think this is going to be an issue. Maruki also starts charging up his first of 2 scripted big attacks shortly afterwards, and then unleashes a big Tyrant's Chaos. This is the reason why we wanted both Endure and Enduring Soul on Trumpeter. Those 2 scripted attacks are the only almighty attacks that Maruki has. Not counting in his Mercy Kill Make It Allowed if you take too much time. With Endure and Enduring Soul, we can easily survive both of them, and with Trumpeter reflecting every other of Maruki's attacks, there is nothing he can do to hurt Choker. We tank the second Tyrant's Chaos without problems, and thanks to another ultimate support from Futaba, we can get everybody back up and finish off Azathoth on the following turn. We enter phase 3 where Maruki is now backed by his persona, and with Maruki taking reduced damage, this may become a bit tricky again considering that all of Azathoth's attacks are now Almighty type. We set up buffs and debuffs, and then have the entire party's Endure triggered by the boss's Origin Light attack. After going through a full set of attacks from the party, Maruki will use Revitalized Soul, which drains 300 HP from the party and also heals him. Since everybody had their Endure triggered though, Futaba will come in with the Final Guard, which also means that he will barely recover any HP either. This is something that I didn't even think about, but it's a nice detail. We just go for one more turn of Concentrate and buffs, Haru dodges the Grand Palm, and one more turn of attacks is enough to end phase 3 as well, and basically complete the challenge successfully. Phase 4 is scripted, where the party is invincible and can't lose anymore, and after bopping Maruki on his head with a bullet, we have a nice little fisticuffs battle to end this challenge for good. And that is it, everybody. We beat Persona 5 Royal with the entire party only having 1 max HP. And I have to admit that with the exception of a couple hiccups here and there, this was not as bad as I anticipated going in. I was really scared, especially of late game battles where I knew we wouldn't be able to cheese our way to victory with mirrors, but even those weren't that bad when you go in with the correct strategy. Either way, this concept was a lot of fun, and I might try it with some other games in the future as well, so let me know which 1 HP challenge you would like to see here come up next. With that being said, special thanks go out to this video's top channel supporters Novarel, Shirker, Matthew Frack, Chip Selnaga, Why the Heck, 30C25, Mr. Sandman, and Blazem H1, as well as all other channel members and patrons. Becoming a channel member or joining a Patreon gives you 48-hour early access to all videos among other small perks, so if you want to support the channel even more, there are plenty of ways to do so. That is all for me today. I hope you enjoyed the run as much as I did, and I hope to see you all next time as well. Until then, take care.